You've just accessed Hardware is Forever, your source for the expert insights, ideas, and innovations you need to do more in the electronics manufacturing industry. From optimization to operations, join us as we put the pieces together for a better approach to manufacturing. Let's go.
This is Hardware is Forever. I'm Chris Vintliff, and Jay Patel is the CEO at Amtech. And as ever, Jay, I love being the facilitator of thought process in this stuff because I learned so much as we're sort of exploring this and when we continue to talk about game theory. And I feel like this is an important concept, this idea. We're talking about coordination, which really connects to alignment. How are parts and pieces coordinated, which we were just talking about commitment. I don't know. Everything seems to be a domino that makes the next thing fall. So I guess talk to us about this a little bit. What is a coordination game, or what do you mean when you think about coordination games in context?
Yeah, I think everybody will say this. Nobody's going to die. It's like, oh, we're a social species, and our advantage in the world is the fact that we can cooperate and we can coordinate and we can build things and think about all of each other, all of society, and what is the best for each other. And I think that's where a lot of the power really comes in, is when we can work together to create something bigger than ourselves. And to do that, I think everybody, humanity has done plenty of experiences. There's been, different forms of government and everything like that. And, the best way that works is when you're in a social structure, when you're in a democracy and everything is coordinated. And everybody's working together and rowing in the same direction. Now, everybody will say at the business or in your city or in your state or in wherever it may be, even on your block and in your neighborhood, that we all have good intentions, but we do things a little bit differently, and that those differences are to be celebrated. But also there's got to be a level of coordination. Like, for example, everybody hates HOAs, but the HOAs exist because we want to have good curb appeal. We want to make sure our neighborhoods are maintained. So when somebody comes to meet us at our home, they have a good feeling. We don't have cars that are being like 4 or 5 cars that are being worked on in the front yard, or, those type of things. And I think and when we do coordinate that, we do achieve more. And, that's just a really basic day-to-day example. Do I dislike HOAs? Yes, I do dislike HOAs, but it is there for our eventual benefit. Same thing with work. Everybody has great intentions, but everybody's approach, everybody's understanding of the issue, everybody's resolution of the issue is different. So if we all attack the same issue in a different way, we are not going to solve it. And that's where coming together, aligning ourselves and attacking the issues is more important than necessarily having the most optimized solution or the right solution. Because if it takes 100 people and I'm the only one who thinks is doing the right way, which the other 100 people may think the same way, we're not going to get anything done. But if we do it, if 100 people get together and we choose to do it in a suboptimal way, it will still get done. It just won't be optimized. One
of the things I love about game theory is that it, for me, literally introduces ideas of games. And I'm thinking about like when you learn a new board game or a card game and somebody's trying to teach it to you, and it's like 7,000 rules and it's confusing, and maybe you play it once or twice and then everybody gets it. But if you don't understand, I don't know, we've all been in some place where, half an hour into it, you're like, oh, so I can't do this. I have to do that. Right. No, you can't do this. Oh, well, no, the game is completely different for me now that I understand. Which for me, this word ambiguous is in front of me, and ambiguity is kind of the root of chaos. If I think something's going on and you think something's going on, we could both have the best intentions and we're going to completely step all over each other. And ultimately, if we don't work it out, we could end up, having all kinds of friction with each other, or the company will start to suffer from that.
So you'll see, the owners and salespeople want to grow the business. Operations wants stability, and they want to execute well. So they just want stability so they can execute well. Finance, they just want cash flow and profitability. They want so if we ask one of those people, the company will neither grow, neither be stable, nor get cash flow if we ask one of those people. But if we get all those guys in together on the same page, says, okay, we are going to grow. Ops, this is our sales forecast to grow. Finance, this is our cash flow. We're going to need these investments. We're going to need these type of things to facilitate the cash flow. And sales, don't launch anything until we get these things in place. Then everybody is aligned and everybody can grow in a sustainable manner. Unless all those people are left to their devices, they will all execute their jobs in a different way because that's what their job is to do. But they're not going to get anywhere. When they all align on that, then the company and the organization will grow and all those things will be achieved.
It's a really good point. I think it connects to the idea that success is about the strength of your systems, not the strength of your people, not even the strength of your sales funnel. It's your systems. And if your systems are strong, these other things get bolstered up by that. Do you agree with that? Is that a way to think about this?
Yeah, I mean, what does a system do? A system's there to coordinate and align everybody, so everybody knows what their roles are in this machine of business or life.
What's interesting for me is as we're talking about all this game theory stuff, we've talked about commitment, we're talking about coordination. There's an easy connection into what is your company culture. How do these things at Amtech, or for you aspirationally at Amtech, like this is where we'd like to go? I don't know, how do these things connect? Like, where does alignment fit for you as a business leader? Where does coordination and systematization fit for you practically, not just conceptually or theoretically, but sort of where you are doing your business every day?
So I think the first thing is you got to get a bunch of leaders together in the same room who have the same vision and can work together. And unless you can do that, nothing is going to really happen because they all need to be aligned first. And I think, we talked about Deming, it always starts with leadership. So I think the stakeholders of the organization, the owners of the organization, the people who have the decision-making power need to put a good leadership team together. And once the leadership team says, okay, these are our core values, these are our core focus, and I can engage with these, and I can get in alignment with these, and I can go out and do my job and preach it to the organization, then the culture starts getting made. Like, we're EOS company. We have core values. So now we hire to our core values. We fire to our core values. We review to our core values. Our performance improvement plans include our core values. And ultimately, if those core values are not met, you may not be part of our culture, which is fine. Because there's a lot of other places that you would be a part of, but just not right here, right now, because that's not what our leadership team is. And I think that's where that alignment is. And if we have too much friction or too much distraction, we're never going to get aligned. We just spin our wheels and go nowhere.
It's a really great illustration because your core values and other aspects of what you're doing with EOS, think about how much you don't need to think about. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to attack every hiring decision or firing decision or management decision or whatever from a completely original, fresh, totally new, different point of view. You have at least some kind of framework, some kind of structure, some kind of system that helps you to be able to, qualify a thing or filter things out. That eliminates so much mental exhaustion and resource exhaustion when you have structure around, important parts of your business. And I think a lot of at least small and mid-market businesses just don't have that. They were built on something that was a little bit like hard work and hustle, and that's where they've stayed. But they haven't figured out that if they want to get past wherever they are, they're going to have to adopt some of these things. They're going to have to adopt this idea of coordination or of systematization. Is EOS, was that a conscious decision to help you sort of systematize, or has that been a pleasant byproduct of what you knew you just needed to do to kind of get a little bit more organized in business?
So I think, there's first of all, there's plenty of different systems outside of EOS. There's different organizational structures that you can choose. But I think once you choose a structure, it's fine. Like, we didn't even have a structure in place. So I think even EOS or anything else would have been better than nothing. And, now that we have EOS in place, it's kind of like, just tell us what we need to do, we'll do it. And it's kind of like every every step you take, you see a little bit more of the path forward. You don't know what the end game is or where it's going to lead to, but you know that this path that you're on is going to get you somewhere. So I think did I know that this was going to happen? Did I know that, all these things are going to make a significant change in how they're going to do it? I didn't really know. What I did know is that what I was doing wasn't working, and this has been used, and this is a core part of it. So I'm going to do it. Now that I have experience in it, I can say, yes, this is a phenomenal tool to get everybody aligned. And it makes our life easier because we can communicate what we want. We can communicate with the type of people that the type of environment at work we want to work in and be in, and then attract people who will also like that environment. And it makes employee retention much easier. It makes employee attraction much easier because it makes customer attraction much easier. It makes vendor attraction much easier because people know that we're aligned, and people know what they're going to get.
How do you, I guess, EOS or whatever system, as you said, there's a lot that you sort of adopt or incorporate becomes a default in this, but how do you practice coordination? You know what I mean? Like, how do your employees experience that? It could be as simple as like, this is our playbook, everybody, look at these 10 bullet points on the wall or whatever. But how do you at Amtech, or how do you, I guess, want to, or how do you suggest or think about, this is how we coordinate things together so that we all know what's going on? Is that a function of, I don't know, employee manual, or how do we actually do that?
Yeah, I think it just goes back to touch points. Like, if you want it to happen, you just have to speak it and do it and tell the story that it's going to happen, and remind people that this is what we're going to do, and have those kind of people engaged. Like, there's specific touch points. We have quarterly conversations in EOS. That's a tool that we use to have a conversation with the team to make sure that that we get a chance to share with what we want to do, so they can get aligned with us. And if ultimately they don't want to get aligned, or they don't feel like this is not something that they can get aligned with, then it's okay. It's a choice that they make. But I think it's like, it takes a lot of effort. It's like, you just can't put it on a sign and then be done with it. Like, I think you have to live it, you have to breathe it, you have to speak it, you have to like ingrain it, and that takes a lot of effort. Like, if I go to the gym one day and run 20 miles, that's not the equivalent of running 1 mile every day. So, which is commitment, right? What we just were talking about in our earlier, it's connected to that. If you're going to commit to doing the thing, I guess coordination becomes a byproduct or a function of that. Jay Patel is the CEO at Amtech. We're continuing our discussion on game theory, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Jay, thank you. Yep.
Thanks for joining us, and a special thanks to our subscribers and followers. Consider becoming one today wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. Hardware is Forever is designed, tested, engineered, and built by the manufacturing experts at Amtech. Learn more and let us help you envision your next project with a free Design for Manufacturing assessment at buildamtech.com/DFM.